Let's finally use my film degree for something on this channel, shall I? Recently, there's been a lot of great trans rep in the 2020s. I Saw the TV Glow being the most recent, and in my opinion, Nimona, the animated kids film. While I would love to gush about both, I want to focus on Nimona for this video. Maybe more on I Saw the TV Glow later. So why do I think Nimona does such a great job at explaining and understanding what trans people go through daily, and how we live, and how we want to be seen like everyone else, and we shouldn't be viewed as someone to be afraid of, but someone worthy of life. Now, while I can gush about the whole film from start to finish, I mostly want to talk certain things I picked up on while I have watched this rather recently. Also, before I get into it, I want to ask you guys if you can like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of video. This is going to be something very different from this channel, and I would love to see if people like this, and would you want to see more? Maybe a video on I Saw the TV Glow if people like this kind of video. Anyway, on to the whole video. I hope you all enjoy.
I'm Nimona.
A good moment I want to start this video is from two moments within the film. The first moment comes from the scene where Ballister says it would be easier for Nimona to pretend to be a girl 24/7 instead of constantly shape-shifting. She responds, easier for who? And he tries to claim that it would be easier for her sake, as not everyone will accept her. She knows that he is lying and only saying it to make it seem like a more reasonable thing to do, but he finds her constant shapeshifting awkward. Hell, he keeps bringing up how much it's too much for him to be around, but all of a sudden he's claiming he's otherwise the most accepting person on earth, when everything he's done so far shows otherwise. Another good moment comes from the line immediately after what I just talked about, with him asking to understand what he's working with, and her response being once again her name. Shows her telling him the truth. Nimona is Nimona, and later in the movie you see that it's heavily implied she was born with these abilities. She never got them from something else, and we're never given an explanation about her abilities. Mostly just her backstory about her being hated as a monster, and her response comes from, in my opinion, a very deep understanding of being upset when people try to get too personal with the questions they ask within trying to understand trans people. They want to understand us, and if they are accepting, they wish to know more, but they try to get more personal, trying to ask questions about our lives and the things that have just gave us certain questions. And while yes, a lot of us do like to explain a lot more, there is a point where the questions get too much to ask. Cal has so many moments in the film where he just doesn't understand Nimona, even though he claims he does. It's great to see the film have a main character go through this growth, instead of him being instantly understanding of Nimona and her abilities. He has to learn that she's just a person like he is, who happens to shapeshift. It's not something he should be afraid of or hate. And to me, it's really cool we got to see this growth throughout the movie. And even if just for a second later on, he loses the growth that he developed throughout the movie, but it's a good character flaw within him on top of it. And in the end, grows to accept Nimona and says she is not alone. And that, to me, feels like amazing character development in such a good movie.
Honestly, I feel worse when I don't do it. Like my insides are itchy.
Throughout the film, we see a ton of moments that perfectly describe the experience existing as a trans person, and the moment that stands out to me the most is when they finally get their hands on the Squire to question who is framing Belle. I want to mostly talk about, in the video, her explanation in why she shapeshifts, and why it is to explain to someone why you're transitioning, at least to me. Her explanation about why she does it is perfect. If she holds it in, she feels worse. And when she holds on to one form longer, it feels off, like it's not her. And it's something she needs to do to be free and be herself. To me, it fully shows how I felt as a trans person. If I kept hiding it, it would constantly feel as if there was an itch I could never scratch. That feeling would never go away unless you bite the bullet and acknowledge what it actually is. And her saying that she wouldn't die if she stopped, but sure as hell wouldn't be living, is also an amazing explanation. Yeah, sure, some trans people would keep going and probably live their whole lives in the closet. But then would it actually be a life worth living? To know you're not the gender you're born as, but deciding it's not worth it and you need to stay hidden? To me, this is the scene that was such an eye-opener into me starting my transitioning in 2023. And it's also the scene I showed my mom to help her understand why I started HRT when she was certain I wasn't a trans woman and would regret transitioning. It's the best part of this movie of already amazing moments. This perfectly shows the feelings I, and I'm sure a ton of other trans people, have regarding transitioning and everything we do. If we didn't, it would feel rather itchy, like I said prior, and the movie just wraps it up so nicely and neatly. It's great to see a movie explain it so well, especially a movie for kids. Another great scene I want to focus on is Nimona being upset that a kid was scared of her, and how hatred is taught. That girl was taught to kill whatever was different, and Nimona was different, and it makes her upset that someone goes far as to hurt her for being different, and for me, I feel that struggle. There are people out there who would hurt me just for being trans and simply existing, and it hurts that they want to do that. Some of these people don't know the real me. They just see I'm a trans woman and then deem me a threat for some reason, and it hurts that I'll never understand fully why they think the way that they do, and that I may never be able to change their minds and let them see that I'm just a person like them. And this scene is perfect for that very reason. It shows that we are hurt from what people have said about us, even if we act like we're not. And Nimona shows this time and time again. She acts like she doesn't care throughout the majority of the film, throughout all the comments that Val has made to her, but certain comments do upset her and make her angry or make her upset or depressed. It's very common that myself included, will put themselves under a bowl of not caring about it. But sometimes it does hurt when certain things are said. For me, it hurts the most when I hear it IRL. I can hear a transphobe tell me I'll never be a real woman on the internet 50 times, and it'll never faze me anymore. But hearing it from someone IRL hurts because it feels like the community I live in doesn't accept me for who I am. And it hurts a lot more when it comes from a real person's mouth. And it feels like it's not the minority, even though it is. It's the majority of people out there who will hate me for being who I am. And it sucks when it happens.
What if we're wrong? What if we've always been wrong?
I want to briefly talk about how this film really greatly adapts fear-mongering and how easy it is to learn to be afraid of something without proper understanding, and why this movie does a great job at it, and how easy it is to fall back into the old beliefs you once had. The scene after Ambrosia shows Val the scroll is heartbreaking, but unfortunately it's also something that happens when someone who originally didn't fully understand what trans people were, and maybe went down the wrong path trying to look up that stuff, gets rewrapped in their original beliefs and mindset due to something clouding their judgment. This is unfortunately something I've had to deal with recently. Someone I originally thought was understanding and seeing me for who I really was, has seemingly fell down a rabbit hole and is now back to seeing me how everyone else does. And it hurts, it eats you alive. Someone you thought could understand you and what you're going through is now saying the same hurtful things you've heard 1,000 times over. And it feels like you will never be accepted, and you can't even live your life in life. One final scene I want to talk about when talking about fear-mongering is the moment near the end when we see Nimona's life before meeting Val. And this is the main moment I think perfectly teaches how much fear and misunderstanding perfectly represents Nimona's and the theme it is trying to tell us throughout the entire film. The scene showing her life before meeting Val is great, how she really tried to fit in and find someone who would accept her and having no luck, and finally finding it through one person and finally being happy, having fun, accidentally revealing her abilities to Glorith. Glorith isn't afraid of them, she finds them cool, but the second she's called a monster by Glorith's mother, Glorith's views instantly change. It hurts to Nimona to be seen like that, and how she tries to defend herself, and when it's done, she tries to plead to Glorith to understand her like she once did. But she doesn't anymore. One phrase destroys all goodness Glorith saw in Nimona, and it's so heartbreaking but real. For some people in life, all it can take is one video of a person saying something that's not true about trans people. It's an unfortunate situation that we have seen happen to people so many times. The amount of people who believe the misinformation of trans people in the world today is incredibly heartbreaking. Not even looking further in, instead believing the most surface level bullshit that they are taught on Facebook or Twitter. And it's heartbreaking to see that more and more people are so easily able to fall for misinformation instead of looking further and seeing that all this stuff they are seeing is bullshit and not true. Trans people have dealt with this for a while, and it feels like it is a losing battle, especially right now. and it feels like a battle we have lost, but we haven't. I want to make that clear. We have not lost this battle, and there's still a fight to have, and we have to keep going for our future and every future trans person out there so they can see that it's okay to be who they are. And this movie being allowed to come out after being shut down by the company who didn't want it to exist because of just a simple 2-second gay kiss at the end is such an important part of the message on OWN. Just to keep surviving, even if all the odds are against you. This movie still came out, even though all the odds were against it from the start. This movie was going to be sheltered in the Disney vault for so long, and then a bunch of people brought it back and allowed its story to be told, and I'm so happy that it eventually did. Oh, sorry, I got a little heated there. This movie's development makes me just as emotional as the movie itself did. This movie deserved to be seen, and I feel like it should have been seen so much earlier than it had to. If Disney got their head out of their asses and allowed this movie to come out, I feel like when it was originally under Blue Sky and didn't just shut down the whole studio, I feel like it would have not only benefited Disney, but benefited everyone on top of that. And it just pisses me off that Disney thought, well, we can't have that, you know? And it just pisses me off. Now, I want to end this section on a more higher note, on how fear-mongering can be untaught. One, Ballister throughout the film constantly is getting unraveled with what he's been taught. As he learns more about the world and learns more about Nimona, he constantly is told more and more. He constantly questions more and more about the world he lives in and what he's been taught. Such a good character development, as I previously described. Even for a second, when he unravels and goes back to kind of the similar viewpoints when he questions Nimona still kind of falters in that scene where she doesn't properly explain, but it makes sense. She is upset that he would just blindly believe the first piece of evidence against her that he is given, because that is something that also happens. Some cis people are given one piece about trans people that is negative, and then instantly they spiral down that. They start believing the more negativity, and it's just unfortunately depressing to see. And with that, I want to talk about when Ambrosia asks, what are we doing? After everything has already gotten worse, it's amazing because sometimes it's an amazing moment, but because once again, it's unfortunately very real. Sometimes it takes people who don't see the pain one is in until it's to the point where it can get this bad. This is a scene that feels very much tied to multiple different things. Unfortunately, by the time they realize the harm they cause, it can be to a point where too many people are getting hurt.
Hey, boss.
I wish I could talk about the whole movie. I unfortunately have to end this video here. I wanted to leave you with this though. Her final speaking line in the movie is,
"It's time to rewrite this story."
and I want people to say what they thought it meant when this line was spoken. I have ideas, but I want to leave it up to interpretation. And I felt like I could never really fully understand it, and I want to hear your opinion. And if you have anything you want to say about the movie itself, leave it in the comments below. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more content, and thank you, and have an amazing day.